Poor girl helps rich boy without knowing who he is. What his father did was unimaginable. A poor girl who comforted a rich boy whose dad was battling his life in a coma arrived on his doorstep 19 years later, begging for help. She was certain he would not turn her away, knowing little of what would happen next. "Where's the girl, Mom?" Edward's mother, Sarah, asked anxiously. "We're running late for the flight. Will she be here soon?" Sarah was restless. She had visited her mother to take her 8-year-old son Edward with her and had no time to spare. Meanwhile, Edward stood at the doorstep, choked up, holding a rose he wanted to give his best friend. "Where are you? Why haven't you come yet? I'll be gone and not sure if we'll meet again," he mumbled, staring at the gate. He immediately dissolved into tears after seeing a faint figure of a little girl approaching him. "Sarah, this is the girl." Edward's grandmother pointed to Angelina, age 7, a poor girl who had dressed in her best clothes to wish her best friend goodbye. Angelina's throat closed up as she shyly spoke. "I never imagined I would come to you asking for help, but it's not about me. Can you please help me?" "Aw, sweetheart, thank you so much for all your help," exclaimed Sarah. "You can come to us anytime you need our help. We would do anything to help you out, all right?" Angelina bid a cheerful goodbye as Edward handed her the flower and boarded the cab, recalling the turn of events that brought them together. 2 months ago, Angelina found Edward alone outside his grandma's house. She realized he was new to the neighborhood and was intrigued by his strange silence and behavior. Since Edward arrived at his grandmother's house, he never played with anyone and hadn't spoken a word to anyone, not even his grandma. But he was not like this before, not until an unfortunate tragedy sent his beloved father to the intensive care unit not too long ago. Edward's parents, Jackson and Sarah, were driving home with their law firm's 15th anniversary celebrations when they rammed into a truck. Although Sarah survived with minor injuries, fate had other plans for Jackson. He fell into a coma, and the doctors did not have a good prediction for him. "It's been 2 months, and your husband has not shown any progress," said the doctor. "We tried our best, and only time will tell. Please don't lose hope." The doctor's prognosis didn't sound pleasing to Sarah. She was heartbroken and feared it would traumatize her son, who had just recovered from heart surgery. So Sarah sent Edward to her mother's place in another state until such time when Jackson's health hopefully improved. Edward was aware of his father's condition, which took an adverse toll on him. He stopped smiling and refused to talk to anyone. He never reacted to anything and shut himself away from everyone until he met Angelina one day. "Hey, why are you sad?" He heard the sweet voice of a little girl from behind, gently patting his shoulder. "Don't cry," she said, wiping his tears away. "My dad's in the hospital. I miss him and want to see him," cried Edward, startling his grandma, who was watching from the door. "Don't worry, your dad'll be all right," comforted Angelina, hugging the boy. "Seeing you cry brings tears to my eyes. Please don't cry. I'm here for you." "Edward, you just talked to her? Oh boy, I can't believe it. You talked, darling," exclaimed his granny. Edward gradually harbored a special bond with the poor little girl. He loved her company, and the two became thick friends in such a short time. One day, his grandma decided to find out what made him get so attached to the strange little girl and candidly asked him. "She's an orphan. She lost her parents in a car crash and lived with her aunt," revealed Edward, tears streaming down his face. "I have my parents, but still, I'm sad. Look at her. She lost both of them, and she's still strong." His grandma became teary-eyed. Deep down, she hoped their friendship would continue for years, but Sarah arrived the next day to take him away. "Hey, Mom, Edward, my darling," Sarah greeted them the following day. "Jackson has regained his consciousness, Mom. He's back home. I came to take my son home." The news moved Edward to tears. He was delighted to reunite with his father, but at the same time, his happiness faded, realizing he'd be parting ways with his best friend, Angelina. "Edward, wake up. We've landed." Edward heard his mom's faint voice calling out to him, snapping him to the present. "Hurry up, take your bag." The boy ran to his father and hugged him. He never believed in miracles, but seeing his father very much alive and active made him acknowledge fate's sweet surprises. He was not completely happy, though, because he missed Angelina. He couldn't just shake off his thoughts about her and wished they'd meet again. Edward's prayers were answered 19 years later. He was returning home from his father's law firm after a busy day at work when he met a familiar face at his doorstep, clothed in rags and drowning in tears. "Angelina," he cried out, what happened to you?" Edward quickly recognized her, but was not pleased to see her dressed in rags and looking helpless. Angelina's throat closed up as she shyly spoke. "I never imagined I'd come to you asking for help. But it's not about me, it's about my child. Can you please help me?" Edward calmed her down and took her inside. "Please, feel comfortable. Sit down. Now tell me, what happened to you?" Angelina recounted her tragic past with her ex-husband, who defrauded her out of her inheritance and kicked her out. "I don't care about the money. William took my child and I want her back. I need a good lawyer to fight him in court, but I can't afford one. I came to you to ask for money to file an appeal to get my child back," sobbed Angelina. Moved by Angelina's story, Edward comforted her and told her to stay in his house as long as she wanted. To make things better for her, he decided to be her lawyer and help her get her daughter back. "I'll be your lawyer. I promise to get your child back, Angelina. I'm forever grateful for your help and friendship. I'll do it for free. Don't worry." Edward challenged Angelina's ex-husband in court, and he won after a lengthy legal tussle. He retrieved Angelina's inheritance and added more shades of joy to her life by uniting her daughter with her. Angelina decided to move out of state with her daughter, but didn't have the spirit to do it. With a heavy heart, she queued up to board the flight. Then she got a call from Edward. Tears rose in her eyes as she heard him say, "Angelina, please don't leave me. Come back. I love you. I promise to be a good father to your child. Please come back." It didn't take long for Angelina to grab her daughter and get out of line, hurrying out of the airport, only to find Edward at the entrance, stretching his arms out to her. Tears of joy flooded her eyes as she hugged him and felt her heart fill with happiness. Edward carried her daughter and walked away with Angelina, disappearing into the light of day toward his newfound life. We can learn from this story. A good deed done today will fetch help when you need it tomorrow. Angelina comforted Edward and motivated him to smile and talk when he was heartbroken. 19 years later, he returned the favor by fighting her ex-husband in court and retrieving her inheritance and child from him. Life is an adventure only if you learn to accept and fight challenges. Angelina had lost her parents in a car crash, and when she learned of Edward's story, she encouraged him to stay strong. Years later, when struggling, Edward comforted her and assured her of a happy life. They fought their challenges and ultimately united in life. This poor girl takes care of rich boy's sick horse. A rich father had decided to put down his son's sick pet horse and ended up gifting a poor girl the whole ranch after seeing what she had done to the dying animal. 10-year-old John couldn't stop thinking about his best friend, Benjamin, the horse who meant the whole world to him, more than just a pet. "Will he be all right, Papa?" he worriedly asked his dad, Jack, on this flight to his grandpa's funeral. "Will he be waiting for me when we return? Will I get to play with him again? You won't put him down, right?" Jack couldn't answer those questions. Moreover, he had decided to put the horse down as soon as he returned from his father's funeral. He knew this was going to be heartbreaking for John, but was determined it was the only way to bid Benjamin a peaceful goodbye. That's when Maria, John's best friend, begged to give the horse a last chance, saying she would save his life. "Will Maria and her dad take good care of Benjamin?" John asked again, snapping Jack back to reality. "She promised me she'd take care of him. Her father had a ranch, she told me." "Is this my horse? What did you do to him?" the dad shrieked. Jack mumbled, not knowing what to say. Maria was John's best friend, or rather the only friend he had in class. The other students avoided him because he was the only wealthy boy in class. They found John eating by fork and knife, wearing rich clothes, and coming to school in an expensive car to be unusual. Sometimes they even wondered why he didn't go to some rich private school instead. While everyone gave John the cold shoulder, only Maria befriended him and made him feel less lonely in class. Apart from Benjamin, she was the only one who comforted him and helped him get over his grief. As time passed, Maria and John became best friends. They often hung around at John's ranch, playing with Benjamin. One day, Maria became curious about why John was so attached to his horse. "He was just one when Dad brought him home 4 years ago. I was 6 at the time," revealed John. My mom died because she was sick. That made me sad. I couldn't eat or sleep or play. I could do nothing. That's when Benjamin came into my life. He helped me heal and slowly made me forget my sadness. He's only made me smile since then. John's revelation moved Maria to tears. Her father, Harry, was a widower, like John's dad, Jack. They once had a beautiful ranch full of cattle and horses that Maria loved, but when she was 5, her dad sold it to pay for her mom's treatment. Unfortunately, Maria's mom never made it, and they lost their beautiful ranch with her. Growing up, she missed seeing her horses and cattle and always yearned to reunite with them someday. But that day never came. So, seeing Benjamin and playing with him filled Maria's emptiness, just like it did for John. The two friends loved being around Benjamin and assumed their joy would be infinite. Sadly, their happiness came to a halt when Benjamin broke his leg during a race. The vets were pessimistic about his recovery and suggested he be put down. "Dad, please give him a chance. I'm sure he'll get up and walk again," John begged. "Don't put him down. I can't be without him. Please, Dad, just give him a chance. He deserves to live with us." Jack couldn't see his beloved horse in pain despite his son's pleas. Amid the discussion of Benjamin's fate, John's grandfather passed away. With Jack and John having to fly to the funeral, they temporarily left Benjamin under Maria and her dad's care. The town's best vets had examined Benjamin and lost hope, so Jack assumed Maria and her dad couldn't do much to save the horse's life and was determined to put him down as soon as he returned. A week later, Jack and John returned home, and the first thing they noticed was their ranch. It had changed completely. "What's happened here?" exclaimed Jack. "This doesn't look like my ranch." "Dad, look at Benjamin," cried John. "Oh my God, I can't believe this. Is this my horse? What did you do to him?" Jack shrieked after witnessing his son's beloved horse galloping on the ranch. "Mr. William, I don't believe my eyes. How is Benjamin running around? The vets told me he wouldn't be able to get up, let alone walk," he stammered. "Well, my daughter did it. She took care of Benjamin and assured him he'd get back on his legs again," replied Harry, "and he did." "But how is it possible?" exclaimed Jack, curious how Maria did it. "I took care of Benjamin while my dad renovated the ranch," said Maria. "Day by day, I started taking Benjamin for a walk. He started with slow limps, and when I told him that he had to do this for John's sake, he did it. He's such a determined horse who would do anything for his beloved owner." John and Jack shed tears of joy after seeing Benjamin in good shape. They hugged and kissed him as Jack realized how awful it could have ended if he had gone by his decision to put Benjamin down. A few days later, it was Maria's birthday. Jack and John visited Harry and Maria in their little home nearby. "Happy birthday, Maria," Jack greeted her as John gave her a gift-wrapped box, waiting to see her reaction. As it turned out, Jack and John had gifted Maria their ranch, and the box had the documents with the legal transfer of property to her name. "What? I don't believe it. John, you're giving away your ranch to me?" she cried in joy. "Yes, my dad and I feel nobody can take care of the ranch and all the animals better than you. You deserve to keep it, Maria." It was the best birthday gift Maria had ever gotten. Several years have passed since then, and even today, Maria and John remain best friends. As for Benjamin, he raised a beautiful family and has 2 foals who love running around on Maria's ranch.